Let's talk about another very important rivalry game, not just to those that are in it, but to us as college football playoff rankings fans. Number 16, Oregon State at number 6, Oregon. That is also on Fox Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oregon shows up as a 13.5 point favorite, and the the total is 61.5. Put it plainly, Oregon, you need to dunk Oregon State. You need to dunk Oregon State like you dunk Colorado. You need to dunk Oregon State like you dunk Portland State. All right? Like it's like that because, yes, Oregon can clinch a spot in the Pac-12 championship with a win against Oregon State or an Arizona loss against Arizona State. Arizona, good football team. However, that does not guarantee you a spot in the college football playoff. That is why you're number 6. And I dare say you would have to stomp out Washington in the Pac-12 championship to get into the college football playoff. Now, I also need to add in here, the reason that I'm saying that Oregon State needs to dunk Oregon State is because you don't have a top 25 win anymore. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee took that from you when they dropped Utah, which means you haven't played one top 25 scoring defense, and you haven't beaten a top 10 team. So Texas beat a top 10 team, has played top 25 scoring defense, and Alabama, who's also a one-loss team, is 3-1 against ranked opponents heading into this weekend. Everybody that they played has remained in this thing, and we genuinely believe that their schedule is tougher than yours. Now, that said, you're scarily efficient, right? So you're doing what I asked Michigan to do, right? When I had them at number 1, you're stomping out teams you should be stomping out. You're averaging 46.5 points per game. You're putting up 546.6 yards per game. And Bo Nix is throwing for 350 a game. It's also a game for which Will Stein and Dan Lanning need to absolutely put this on Bo Nix's hands and feet. Why? Because you're also not just playing for a spot in the college football playoff or even Pac-12 championship, but he's playing for the Heisman, right? Because if that dude dunks Oregon State and then avenges the loss to Washington with an outstanding performance, it's going to be really difficult to keep him from winning the Heisman Trophy. And the reason I say that is Bo Nix still has a lot of fans in the South because that's where he started his college football career, as does Dan Lanning. And there are lots of Heisman voters in that region. As a matter of fact, it is the largest region for Heisman voters. And I think that they would love to be able to cast a vote meaningfully for Bo Nix at Oregon. And they've been throwing money behind this. Like one of the things that came up in the group chat, but also in our show meetings, is how Oregon has been throwing Bo Nix banners everywhere they can go. From Atlanta, where you get Bodacious, New York, where you get Bodacious, Dallas, where you get Bodacious. And they've been doing this since the summer, right? They feel like they got a Heisman contender. Now, some of this, I think, is just Oregon's better at marketing than most others, frankly. I mean, the uniforms is one thing, Phil Knight is another, but Joey Harrington ended up on the cover of NCAA. And kiddos, if you don't know who Joey Harrington is, that's my point. That's exactly my point. Somehow, they got that man enough pub to make him a Heisman finalist and get what I think is an even cooler award, the cover of NCAA. So if anybody's capable of pulling one out from the West, absolutely Bo Nix. And he also gets to say, is this not the conference of quarterbacks? Did you guys, RJ included, come in telling us that the Pac-12 is the deepest quarterback conference in all of football? Did we not have the Heisman finalist right here last year? The Heisman winner right here last year? Am I not the best quarterback in the Pac-12? He's got an argument here. Now, on the other hand, you got an Oregon State team that is scrappy. You got an Oregon State team that also handed Oregon an L when we all did not expect Oregon State to do just that. Last year, 38-34. Difference is this game is in Autzen. That game was in Corvallis. Oregon State is tough in Corvallis. This is one of the reasons why I think Washington's moving up made it was even easier for the committees. You go into Corvallis and you become the first team, the only team to beat them at their home when you know that that's one of the 15 best teams in the country. Yeah, all right, you got it. And it also strengthens your case if you're Oregon, right? Because if you are able to beat down an Oregon State that Washington couldn't even score on in the second half, yeah, again, you got a really great resume or argument, not resume, but argument for being in the college football playoff, but landscape, right? Stay on the horse, okay? Still got to unhorse you for you to lose. Stay on the horse, go get your win. And let's see what Bo Nix, what Bucky Irving, what Troy Franklin, what Dan Lanning can cook up against an Oregon State team that I think is absolutely going to be up for this and could backdoor into a New Year's Six bowl if they are able to pull the upset once again. Pac-12 championship implications for this. I kind of got into it. Oregon needs to win. Arizona can still clinch a spot, but they need an Oregon loss and they need to beat Arizona State. So there's still some moving and shaking on that side, but the winner, Arizona State or Oregon will play, Arizona or Oregon will play Washington. I get my states and my Oregons confused, as you very well know sometimes, but I'm excited, guys. It's sometimes I sit back here and slow down because I'm just ready for Saturday.
If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.